Don't let him take it!
Hectic to say the least. That is what played out yesterday. Free Palestine supporters in Sea Point, and to talk to us about that is Cassiem Parker, PAGAD Exco member. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran for having us.
So tell us what happened yesterday at Sea Point. Was this in direct opposition to the march that was planned by the Israeli lobby?
Well, it is, firstly, PAGAD is not saying that we organized it. In fact, we didn't. But when it became clear that there was a call for people to respond to the protest or demonstration or show of support for racism, PAGAD, as a justice-loving organization, felt that it is automatic and obvious that we should respond by saying that we didn't fight for freedom from racism in this country to give license to racists to show support for another racist country that is killing and maiming our people.
Okay, I'm going to share a statement by the Cape Town mayor. This is what he had to say. The Cape Town mayor statement on Sea Point: chaos after prayer rally for Israel was disrupted. Police attempted to forcibly disperse pro-Palestine supporters. Cape Town's mayor said that the city's commitment to tolerance and freedom of expression is sacrosanct. However, 3 pro-Palestinian supporters were arrested. So do you want to respond to the statement I've read, and then let's talk about the people that were arrested?
Yeah, first about the mayor's statement of sacrosanct. You know, most times people tell us that you need to keep the constitution of the country as sort of the highest order or the directive on what has to happen. Now, we in PAGAD say it's not true, firstly, that the constitution should be a guiding document, because the Almighty, the Creator, has given humanity a guiding document. But even with the Constitution of South Africa, the Constitution of South Africa was based on the fact that racism was pushed out of South Africa. Racism, being a satanic concept, is actually the one principle. Anti-racism is what the Constitution is based on. So now we cannot have something called sacrosanct when you can't give freedom of expression to a murderer. You cannot give freedom of expression to a racist in a country that has opposed racism. And this is our problem, that, you know, the Constitution first in the country gives the right to life to people who take the right of life from others. We need to change that part of the Constitution, but the Constitution embodies anti-racism. And therefore, how is it possible that we can even think it's rational to give people who want to lend their support to racist apartheid Israel and show it in our streets, and we must sit idle? So no, the issue is not that we don't want to give them the freedom to express their racism. And the start and end of it is Israel is an apartheid racist state. If people want to argue it, we're prepared to argue it. We're prepared to show them that when we experienced apartheid, we said it's apartheid because the whites were allowed to occupy certain positions. The whites were allowed to be walking in certain streets, going to certain schools, and the blacks and anybody that's not white were not allowed. Now, this is exactly what's happening in Israel. Why do we talk about giving people platforms to sympathize with that sort of situation? We opposed the Bantustans. We opposed the tricameral parliament. And we opposed the fact that the security police could just go in and give people detention without trial. This is what South Africans experienced. How dare we say that people who want to support the same sort of satanic system have a right to display that support in our country? We will never allow it. And anybody that says that is what we fought for, they've got another thing coming.
And of course, the atrocities being perpetrated on the Palestinian people is at a scale never been seen before, possibly in history. And we need to question that. Why is the Western world and the rest of the world quiet and, in a sense, complicit to what is happening in Palestine? But be that as it may, let me also read, and I want to come back to the 3 people that were arrested. Why were they arrested? What is their current situation now? Let me just read out another message from X, and it says a protest was organized in Sea Point today in support of Israel, which you have already responded to. And then it goes on to say counter protesters gathered and clashed with law enforcement who were trying to disperse them as police, this is the kicker, as police were there to protect the Israeli protesters. This is not the first time Cape Town police have violently clashed with Free Palestine protesters. Your thoughts?
Well, first, the issue of law enforcement and police and the whole cabal. The issue is that when people, peace-loving people, say we are being confronted and attacked by gangsters on the Cape Flats, the answer most times is we don't have capacity. So, and in fact, you have neighborhood watchers that go and apprehend criminals and say, I've got them here. I'm part of a neighborhood watch. And I've got the person here. The police take 2 hours to respond because they don't have capacity. But in order to defend people who are killing others on the other side of the world, the police can put a mighty force together. And you know what? The passion with which they do it is what's disturbing. And this is the reason. And I also want to say that it is sad, but probably not unexpected, that there are people in the name of the church that are defending this position. But why do I say not unexpected? And this is what makes it easy for the likes of political parties, the whole string of them, to make it possible for them to defend this position of genocide that's playing itself out in Palestine. That churches like the National Party had the church, the church to defend and say why apartheid was justified in the terms of their God, which turned out not to be the Almighty God, but they created a God themselves that was protecting them. And the people fell for it conveniently. So too, unfortunately, the whole string of churches, they are actually an insult to the Christian community. There are people that are SA Jews for a free Palestine that realize that Judaism is the front for Zionism in order to see to the plundering of a country. We mustn't allow people to make this into a Muslim, Christian, Jew thing. We must say people who are peace loving, people who ensure that we get justice sorted are on the same side. It doesn't matter what your religion is.
Okay, and neither does it matter what color you are. Talk to us about
Absolutely.
the 3 people that were imprisoned. Why were they imprisoned, and what's the current situation as far as they're concerned?
Okay, so by last night, 11 o'clock, the 3 of them were released on bail after negotiations, and we had the privilege of having 5 legal people there busy with them, and I'm sure the community appreciates their efforts. The investigating officer came very late to actually formalize charges. The prosecutor was there at Seapoint Police Station, and they arranged for an appearance this morning to put the matter on the roll. At this stage, we haven't seen the docket, but they say that the issues of public violence and illegal gathering were part of the charges. But obviously, like all things, these are put on a charge sheet, and only when matters are decided whether they go to trial that it actually is going to be real. So for now, it's going through a process. The sad thing is that none of this would have been necessary if the police didn't decide to stop the people who want to implement the constitution of this country to say, we do not want racists parading themselves as legitimate, having a legitimate right to portray themselves here. It wouldn't have happened if the DA city said, no, we're not allowing racism here. And I think it's time for national government to step in and say, no part of racism will be allowed. When we're talking tolerance, and I put it to the people, if there were people now that were to say, you know what, we want to celebrate Nazi Germany, what is the rest of the world going to say? What is South Africa going to say? They would be right if they say there's no way we're going to allow you to do it. But why do we allow racist Israel? Why do we allow people, even if you put racism aside, people who with impunity throw bombs on innocent people? When they tell you move south and they bomb the south, what kind of humanity is this? And we want to say, we want to give them a license and permission to display support for this. There's something wrong. There's something wrong with the DA. There's something wrong with the African Christian Democratic Party. There's something wrong with the PA. There's something wrong with all of these parties. I don't have the list in front of me. All of these parties that see it fit to support a racist, murderous state.
Cassiem Parker PAGAD Exco member, thank you indeed for your insights on this matter, and keep safe. Duas for everybody concerned. Until the next time, as always, assalamu alaikum and take care.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And that's where we wrap up today's show. It is almost 20 after 10 o'clock. Thank you for your company, and we will be back tomorrow morning at the same time. And let's hope and pray, inshallah, that we can have more of these robust discussions. I've just had a message from my previous guest from the BDS. He just wants to correct something that he said on air. That, of course, is Mahfouz Rafi, activist with the SABDS coalition. And I'll just read out to you what he said. Apologies, I made a mistake during the interview when I referred to the Albert Systems deal in Colombia. It is actually in Ecuador. Apologies from Mahfouz Rafi. So there you have it. We'll post that on our social media pages as well, just to correct that error, inshallah. Till tomorrow, as I said, keep safe. Salaam alaikum and Khudafiz from me, Julie Ali.